What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Yankees Avenue Show on the Yankees Avenue YouTube channel. As usual, I'm Patrick Hennessy. That's Dan Rourke. Dan, how are we doing on this very marvelous day?
Well, let's start off with the good news. I got a brand new baseball glove. For those, I want to tell this quick little story. The one time in my life my car gets robbed, and it was in my beautiful home city of Hoboken, New Jersey. Car gets robbed. The only thing they take is my A2000, my last one remaining from high school. And the way I looked at it was I was growing the game, and I had a chance to get this brand new one. Pretty nice, huh?
Nice. No,
You
it's
like it?
it's real
Yeah.
spiffy.
So on that
When are you
aspect,
ever
I'm
going to
doing
use
good.
it, though?
What?
When are you ever going to use it?
It was kind of an embarrassing question when I was at Dick's Sporting Goods yesterday. They were like, where do you play? I'm like, oh, nowhere. I like to have a glove. I like to have a glove, but I was gonna say that's the good news. Yankees losing the first series of the year. That's the bad news. We'll touch a lot on that. But how are you doing?
I'm good. Can't complain. Went to the Knicks game this weekend. Went to the Yankees game this weekend. Bro, New York sports are doing pretty solid besides the Yankees, I guess. But we'll get into that. We'll get into some other stuff too today. Before we get into that, though, be sure to check out FOCO. They have the best Yankees merchandise in the game. Code Yankees Avenue at checkout. 15% off. We'll show you guys some stuff later on. But let's get right to topic number one. And Dan, like I said, I was at the game this weekend. That was the only game this weekend that the Yankees did win. They lost their first series of the season. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Blue Jays at home. And Dan, the offense is basically nowhere to be found. And I think for the first time this season, actually, no, the offense has kind of been a little skimpy for the majority of the season, but the pitching wasn't really to blame as far as why the Yankees lost the series. So now I guess we ask the question on a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you about the New York Yankees?
Kind of still deciding my answer, but I'm leaning towards like a pretty high 7. And we talked about this a little bit before the show, but the main difference has been ever since Stanton went out. And that's the point when you look at the Yankees lineup and you have Gleyber Torres in the 4 hole and you see what follows. I mean, we've talked about the depth of the Yankee lineup, but with him being out and really like no hope on the horizon, I mean, he's not going to be back until All-Star break at best. You have the IL rust, like a predominant, like really good stand, probably not till August. Until the Yankees get another bat, like shit, I'll call it an 8. That's how concerned I am right now. And, looking at the Yankee lineup, a lot of people criticize the lower third, and that's definitely accurate. But in reality, I mean, Volpe will walk, so I'll give him that. But really, the only dominant guy in the lineup right now is Anthony Rizzo with a pretty good supplemental DJ LeMahieu. Outside of those two, man, I mean, we're pretty much screwed. And I want to point out, Gleyber Torres in the 4 hole, they got to figure out something with that. Now, I understand why they did it because you really don't have too many other options. But if you look at his career splits, it's like the one spot where he struggles massively compared to anywhere else. I mean, just to make it simple, batting third, 823 OPS in his career. Batting fifth, 843 OPS in his career. Batting fourth, 658 OPS. And that's in a pretty good sample size of games. So, I mean, I'm not putting blame on Gleyber Torres, but something has to, it's getting to the point now you may have to mess with something. And I liked Volpe at the top, DJ in the 5 spot, keep that. That's fine. But like whether it's getting in another bat, I know you can't go out and get a big fish at this time of year, but the offense is definitely a big, big concern. It really is.
Yeah. And I think kind of one of the keys that you mentioned is that there doesn't really seem to be much help on the horizon, right? Stanton's probably not going to be back until the beginning of July, I feel like, if we're lucky.
At best.
Bader should hopefully come back within the next couple of weeks. But even in that case, like Bader's not that type of bat that can carry a lineup. He's just not that guy that we saw in the postseason last year. And especially coming back from injury, we don't really know too much what we're going to expect from him. And then that's why I'm kind of looking at the guys that we have now, and I'm looking at Willie Calhoun being our 5-hitter on a fairly consistent basis. And it's just unacceptable. And I feel like we're talking about this every single episode. And I know like hindsight's always 2020, but we had that 2020 vision when it was like in the moment where we were talking about how the Yankees needed another big fish. They need another big bat in the lineup. And it's something that we're just beating to death at this point. But each day that goes by, it's just proving more and more how putrid and how feeble this Yankees lineup currently is. Anthony Rizzo is by far the most outstanding hitter that we've seen so far this season. He has a 977 OPS, and then DJ's not too far behind with an 861. Judge, we'll touch on him a little bit more later, but he isn't off to the best start. I mean, he's off to a good start. That I think that's fair to say, but he's not like historic Aaron Judge start, which is we expected a little bit of a drop off this season. And then, like you kind of said, everyone's looking at the bottom half of the Yankees lineup and they're saying it's a problem, which it is. But then you're also looking at a couple other guys at the top of the lineup that aren't producing too much. I mean, Volpe's bounced back pretty nicely from his early season struggles, but still, I mean, bro, your leadoff hitter only has a 636 OPS. I'm pretty sure he's batting under 200. And then also Gleyber Torres, he's fallen off significantly from his early season hot stretch too. Oswaldo's not hitting great. He's actually been awful.
Yeah.
So I think you're looking at all these things combining for a Yankees lineup. That is a big problem moving forward, especially because it's not like, oh, we have Stanton coming back in a week. Oh, we have like Edwin Encarnacion coming to the team in a couple months, like how you mentioned last episode. So I'm looking at it. It's a big problem. They're already 6 games back in from the Rays in first place in the AL East. And if I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I agree. I think I'm looking at like a 7.58 right now.
Yeah, man. A lot of good points, a lot of things I want to touch on. First of all, on Willie Calhoun, I think this is so ridiculous. And I can kind of relate it to my Gleyber Torres point. I think you got to throw lineup balance out the window because that's the only reason he's batting fifth is simply for the fact that he hits left-handed. And no disrespect to him, but he's not a major league caliber hitter anymore. Really only was for 110 games in his career. I don't even think he should be on the roster anymore once Bader returns. But, touching on him, like, yeah, he's not. Bader's a nice piece, but he's certainly not the answer. And kind of just wrap up my overall point here. What's scary is the fact that like we're kind of in this with this lineup. What's changing really? I mean, yes, you're getting Bader back. The only other optimistic thing you can mention is Josh Donaldson, right? But which is always hilarious on the Yes broadcast. And they're talking about like key additions returning and like big bats that are important. They mentioned Josh Donaldson, which right now I would take me some Josh Donaldson. I really would. I think you probably would too with the way this
lineup looks. But also like, we can't get
though. Like no, I think what would happen is you would utilize like the DH spot to be able to get all of them in because there's no chance, at least if I'm in charge, Peraza isn't playing while Donaldson is. I think you can kind of like, so let's say Donaldson came back tomorrow for argument's sake. I think Willie Calhoun's off the roster then. And that's kind of where you'll see him play a little more time. Also, another thing, I mean, 2 weeks ago, we were talking to him maybe as the next Matt Carpenter. Franchi Cordero has fallen off too. He's hitting under 200 now. The OPS is below 800. So, I mean, dude, Aaron Hicks, like he's not even playing anymore. So I just, not the only hope, because like this is baseball. This is all part of why I love this game and like the long season. You got to go through times like this. But the only like optimistic thing I can try to pull out as or just hope for is that somehow there's a very early move coming. Now, once again, not for a big fish, but just somebody to help out a little bit. I mean, there are teams out there that are already starting to bottom out. I mean, we've mentioned the Giants before, how they've been so terrible, and other teams like maybe they just have some sort of like supplemental piece that we can plug in just for a couple months and to be able to get us by. I'm not sure, but yeah, dude, it's frustrating. It really is.
Yeah, no, I know. And I hate being so negative and I hate being so pessimistic and down when it comes to the Yankees lineup. But like we kind of said, there's no reason to be excited about them right now. And maybe something that we don't know, maybe there is hope coming soon. Maybe Donaldson comes back and he whips out a 900 OPS out of nowhere. Maybe they make a trade for Jock Peterson tomorrow. Who knows? But as of right now, with this current lineup construction, I think they are in deep trouble as far as the American League East goes.
Yeah, and also let me pull out something that's legitimately optimistic that you can look towards, kind of spoiling what I'll talk about when we get to Judge, but Judge and Gleyber, like they're not this bad whatsoever. So at some point they are going to turn around, and we saw it last year. I don't want to get too much. I know we're going to talk about it, but like Judge not hitting is a major problem too. So I feel like we do kind of have to mention that in this segment because once he gets going, things will be a little bit better. But regardless, like you said, going into this year, I mean, you labeled the lineup as a problem to begin with. I said we were one injury away, and it turned out to be a pretty damn big one in Giancarlo Stanton away from it being a problem. And right now it's a huge problem. One of the worst offenses in the American League, really.
Sure. But also my thing is I hate that I have to keep going back to this, but like, how did me and you realize this and fans all around the world realize this, but the Yankees didn't? Or did they, and they just didn't care to plan,
Here's the thing, like there's a lot more to it. Like it's not as simple as us just saying that, but in a way, yeah, it kind of is. Like you needed a bat, you didn't get one. So from that aspect, no, it's whack. I mean, I'll go back to, shit, not even just Jerks and Profar. Carpenter's tearing it up for the Padres right now. I mean, imagine we had him right now, dude. Wow. I mean, not even just from the standpoint of like needing a lefty, but just the offense he's provided. He's an 850 OPS so far. Carpenter does. So, I mean, like that. And it's not that we needed a big fish. Would have been nice, but it just, what I keep mentioning, that supplemental bat, just for depth purposes, would have been huge. So,
yeah, they thought they had
earn it now, bro. This is what we got.
Rafael Ortega weren't them. But let's get to topic number 2, Dan. Let's talk about Clarke Schmidt. I guess a little bit of a bright spot from this putrid weekend. Schmidt pitched pretty well on Sunday before imploding. I believe it was in the 6th, right? in the sixth inning with 2 outs. I think he gave up the home run to Vlad and then the home run to Varsho. I think we could ask the question whether or not Schmidt showed us something on Sunday. I guess, bro, he showed me something. But it's nothing that was something I didn't know already. You know what I mean? It's like we knew Clarke Schmidt could be a decent pitcher through the lineup the first 2 times or whatever. And then the third time around, bro, that's when he runs into trouble. And that's why I was kind of looking at this start on Sunday. And I thought it was awesome how he was just cruising, and something that we haven't seen from him so far this season as a starter. But then it blows my mind how Aaron Boone left him in long enough. Listen, I can forgive him for leaving him in for the home run to Vlad. Whatever. I probably would have taken him out before that. There was like signs that he was weakening. Whatever. He gave up the home run to Vlad. But in what world does Clarke Schmidt stay in the game to face the next hitter in Dalton Varsho and then give up a home run to him? I just find that completely unacceptable, especially considering the fact that Schmidt has struggled against lefties this season, I'm pretty sure. And now, bro, I think that kind of just rains on the entire parade of his great Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, you say you can forgive him going to Vlad. I mean, for me, the only acceptable option that I could lay out would be, all right, maybe you let him start the 6th, but you have King ready to go. And I want to first compliment Clarke. He pitched great today. None of this really is his fault. None of the runs are earned either, because there was that Volpe error first of the season. I mean, shit happens. I think it's whatever. But
yeah, I mean, big error though.
Huge error, but it's one of those things. I mean, like, that shit happens. And for being his first of the year, April 23rd, like, it just sucks what came after it. But no chance I would have let Clarke face Vlad. I mean, the way I see it is all season long, you've been lucky to get 3 innings out of Clarke, lucky to get 3 innings. And the second you get 5 really good innings, you try to stretch 6 out of them. And, I'm not a Boone hater or anything like that, but in that moment, I was like, why is he back out there? I understand he was dealing. I understand the pitch count was low. And Jack Curry at the end of the game, on the post game, he mentioned how, well, what does that do for Clarke's confidence if you take him out there? That's sending the message that you're never going to let him go deep. I don't give a shit about messages. I care about winning the game. And that is something that bothers me. You got 5 pretty much perfect innings out of Clarke Schmidt. Your bullpen's been pretty damn good lately. Mike King's ready to go. Didn't pitch on Saturday, so he was ready to go. And you leave him in there. Now, not blaming Clarke for that. And in the end, really didn't matter anyways. The problem is the offense. That's why we didn't win today. But like in that moment, and that's the only thing I'm going to call back to, like, in that moment, how I felt, like, it was a dumb decision by Boone. And once again, I'm not a Boone hater. I don't like, that. Like, I don't go at him like crazy. I consider myself very fair. That to me was his biggest L of the season so far, was leaving in Clarke for that.
Yeah, but also it's something that I can't even find any like defense in, rather than he was just trying to steal outs. And I think after that home run of Vlad, it felt like, kind of just throwing in the towel, like, we're already losing now. Let's just see if he can get Varsho out. But that's why I'm looking at it, bro. And it doesn't make sense to me. But then I'm also looking at it from the Yankees side, and it felt like after they were down 3-0 with the way their offense has been, and I know, like, we could blame Volpe for the error, we could blame Schmidt for giving up the home run, we could blame Boone for not pulling Schmidt. At the end of the day, the Yankees weren't scoring anyway, so they could have lost this game 1-0. They could have lost this game 10-0.
Which has me a little less bothered about the whole situation, because it didn't ultimately matter. But
it's still stupid at the end. Like, that's kind of just my thing. And like the fact that the offense is struggling, Boone has to kind of take that into account and realize, like, we can't afford to give up 2 runs. We can't afford to even give up 1 run. So then that's why he should have been extra cautious and not left him in for Vlad, and then especially not left him in to face Varsho.
Yeah, and I want to call back to something you said early on too about, like, I guess the overall question, did he show us anything? I mean, in a rude way to Clarke, not really, because we knew he could get right-handers out. We knew he can get through one time through the order. And today he was able to get through 2, and the stuff definitely did look good. But I'll ask you, and kind of answering a question myself. Does this make me hopeful about Clarke Schmidt as a starter in the future? No, it just tells me I think he can, what I already knew, he can be a solid, like, long 2-3 inning reliever. Legitimately, like a good one as like the 6th, 7th, or 7th guy in the bullpen, not as a starter.
That's exactly what it is. And also, he's not a high leverage reliever. That's kind of like, bro, he's,
at least not
what
right
I'm
now.
viewing Clarke Schmidt as? When the Yankees rotation is at full strength, hopefully one day, I mean, we'll see. Bro, Doan ever shows up, Sevy ever shows up. But if that day comes and Clarke Schmidt is in the bullpen, I'm not really trusting him with high leverage innings. But he can be like your long man out of the bullpen, bro. Like, that's what I'm viewing him as. And if he could eat up innings, kind of like what they originally viewed Nestor as, I'd be happy.
Yeah, as a long man, I think Clarke would be great. I mean, the way I describe it is, like, if you're down 3-0, starter, I don't know, 4-0, let's say, starter shit the bed and need somebody from the 4th inning to keep you in the game. Kind of remember Mike King on opening day in like 2021, that kind of job where the starter shit the bed and then he comes in for 3 innings and just dominates. I could easily see Clarke doing that. Also, speaking of the bullpen, I just want to shout out. We haven't really talked about it at all. Albert Abreu, although we gave it up a run the other day, he looked great so far this year. And I think I have to mention that because I always diss Abreu. He's my always my go-to example for like the eye test. I'm like, the spin rate might be good, but he sure looks like shit every time he pitches. He's looked great so far this season, so I want to point that out.
See, but I always liked Abreu. But also another guy I feel like we should shout out in the bullpen who I don't think we've mentioned this name once in the entire show ever. Ian Hamilton. Bro, I feel like he's flown under the radar like pretty low this season. He's been pretty decent.
He's been great. I think we have mentioned him. Maybe I'm forget. I don't know. But all of a sudden with Ian Hamilton, dude, I mean, he might start getting high leverage innings because how good he looks. I mean, that pitch is nasty, bro. What does he call it? The Slambio or whatever? Shout out Ian Hamilton. Something like that. Foco, though.
But yeah, before we get topic number 3, want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of the show, Foco. They have the best Yankees merchandise, best merchandise out there in general. Bro, code Yankees Avenue, check out, save 15% off. Look at this Aaron Judge pin. Bro, I'm going to throw this on my hat. It's so cool. It has like the Judge signature. He's like catching.
Another thing that you got that I didn't receive. And yo, what was the first thing you said to me when we got on the recording today? Like, Dan, didn't you wear that last episode? Yeah, Pat, keeping my wardrobe in check like he always does. The reason I'm wearing it again, bro, is because it's comfy as hell. And you're damn right. It's from Foco. Now, I'm back at my parents' crib, so I don't have too much stuff to show off. But what I always say, they have, or anything with a Yankee logo on it, they probably have it at Foco. So, Pat, what is the code?
Code Yankees Avenue at checkout, save 15% off your order.
I was going to ask you how much percentage you saved too. But yo, Foco, go get some stuff, man. Hey, Knicks too. I'm sure they got Knicks stuff.
They do. You know what other team they have? The Toronto Blue Jays. Dan, let's talk about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He said that he would never sign with the New York Yankees. It's just he's staying close to this narrative. Like, you know how you always give me respect for kind of like keeping my takes consistent? Yeah. Vlad's been consistent with his anti-Yankee rhetoric. Maybe this will change when he becomes a free agent one day, but as of right now, he keeps saying he will never sign with the Yankees. Does this bother you at all?
No, it doesn't bother me whatsoever. No, absolutely not. I just think Vlad is hilarious. Now, he's a great baseball player. I'll give him that. But, man, he is the biggest tryhard, the biggest fake tough guy I personally, at least of a notable player I've ever encountered watching baseball. And, yo, real quick, the funniest quote, he said this after the game when talking about playing in Yankee Stadium. He goes, "They don't boo nobodies." Does he know what fan base we're talking about here? I mean, shit, we booed Joey Gallo out of the fucking city last year. Aaron Hicks gets booed every
night, yeah.
Every other night, every night, legit. So, I mean, I'm not sure where he gets that quote from. I think Vlad has a very high feeling of like self-importance, and he thinks he's like the man. And kind of the whole Blue Jays vibe in general with the whole this year's going to be a movie thing. They act like they're like the main characters of baseball. Does that make sense? The Toronto Blue Jays. I feel like they are so like obsessed with themselves and think that they're the shit that like it comes off as a little silly when, yo, at least when it comes to me and you, Yankees and Blue Jays, you guys haven't done shit against us. Sure, some good regular season moments, but in the last 2 years, we've been the one that comes out on top every single time. So I don't really, if they end up beating us this year, like, I don't know, I guess like they'll have a little more credibility. But for now, anytime they try to stir up some sort of a rivalry, I just laugh. And I think Vlad is kind of at the front of that.
Sure. I do think it makes you look a little bit silly. However, also I'm looking at it on the flip side. And it's like, yo, I kind of like that mentality. I think you could look at it from both sides, and you could look at it like, yo, you look stupid because you're kind of dissing a team that keeps beating you. But also I'm looking at it from their perspective. It's like, yo, they keep beating us, but we don't care because we're going to get ours eventually. And if 2023 is the year they get theirs, then like, bro, the entire narrative kind of shifts a little bit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if the Blue Jays, like, clearly they have some of the most confidence of any team in Major League Baseball, whether or not it's reasonable for them to have that, doesn't matter. They have
Vlad feels so phony though, dude. It's like he thinks he's,
I know.
You haven't owned us that hard, dude. Like, yeah, the regular season, you've hit some homers against us, but that's pretty much it. It stops there, the regular season.
No, I know. But like, that's why I'm looking at it. It's like, whatever happens this season happens. And all I'm saying is like, if the Yankees do end up finishing better than the Blue Jays this year, they eliminate the Blue Jays in the playoffs or whatever, then the Blue Jays just look dumb. But all of this is leading up to some sort of culmination, and we'll see what happens.
Yo, I thought a brawl was going to happen this past weekend, by the way. I was waiting for it, dude. I was literally pacing back and forth, especially once it would have been once Cole hit, or was it Cole that hit him? The guy that either broke his hand that Espinal, I believe, like a
Yes,
hit in the wrist.
Espinal.
I was
Yeah.
almost sure, dude, that I think Glaber was leading off next inning. I was out. Yo, Glaber probably better watch out because Manoah's going to throw at him. He didn't. So I guess props to him, sure, whatever. Another thing on this whole situation, Manoah was talking shit about Cole. That was kind of a storyline going into this. Cole's asked after the game, and of course he handles it like just the most best pro way you can handle. I mean, like he laughed it off. He complimented Manoah too, like kind of showing the Yankee way, Pat, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, and like kind of like looking at the weekend as a whole, Garrett Cole was one of the lone bright spots of the weekend. He
A
just
bad
continues
start's
to
5 and
dominate.
2/3 shutout.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, he had his worst start of the season on Saturday, and he still didn't give up a single run. Like, bro, I think Garrett Cole just continues to prove every start why he might be the Cy Young front runner right now, and he might not only be the best pitcher in the AL, which I think is kind of certified, he might be the best pitcher in all of baseball. So it's fun to see him kind of keep doing his thing.
Yeah, I will say just to because I think we're wrapping up the whole Blue Jays saga now, at least for now. This was my least favorite series of the year by far. Not even just because they lost 2 out of 3, but I was very, very stressed watching all this. It was not an enjoyable time. And I hate to ever like say, oh, the team looks flat because that always happens anytime the offense isn't going good. But like, boy, was it Friday's game I wanted to stab my eyes out. Yesterday's game until the Volpe homer, I wanted to stab my eyes out, as in Saturdays. And then, of course, today too. But hey, one positive thing too about the Yankees, they've played some pretty tough teams. I mean, outside of the Giants to begin the year, pretty much all of them have been like 500 or better. I mean, outside the Giants, the worst you had was the Angels, who's still like in a way a respectable squad, which we beat. But at some point, we're going to play the bottom dwellers too. I mean, we haven't really had any encounters with a team like that besides the Giants to begin the season. So
I guess, yeah.
Trying to,
So,
it's been like listen, anytime I'm like negative for most of an episode, I got to pull out a little bit of positivity. And that's what that was.
I like it. But yeah, let's get into topic number 4. I guess we're kind of shifting back to negative.
Oh fuck! I forgot. I thought we were like wrapped up with the negative shit. But yes,
no.
We gotta talk about this.
We're going to talk about Aaron Judge a little bit because, I mean, if you look at his stats so far on the season, I think a little bit of is like lopsided because he had such a great start to the season. Now the past few series he's been a little bit rough, but he has an 844 OPS on the season. I mean, still above league average. As a whole, like I said, it's been pretty good, but as of late, he's been struggling. And then it's kind of just a pure example of what we saw in the second half of last season at some points. When Aaron Judge doesn't hit, the Yankees offense doesn't hit. And now that you don't have Stanton in there too, it's even more kind of evident. So I guess we're kind of looking at it now. And how much does Aaron Judge need to step up just for the Yankees offense to stay afloat?
He has to. He absolutely has to, and he will. So I'm not concerned about it, but I'll acknowledge right now it definitely is a problem. He's 5 for his last 35, and not even just that, man. I mean, striking out a bunch, 15 Ks in that span, and all of a sudden he's not hitting lefties, which, once again, like this stuff won't last. He's smart enough and just plain old good enough to be able to where he'll fix it. But yeah, dude, I mean, there's some of these pitches you're seeing him miss that, dude, he wouldn't even come close to not crushing last year. I mean, some of the breaking balls from lefties that they're hanging that you just assume when you see it in midair coming to Horde's home plate, he's going to crush this, and he whiffs on it. It's not concerning. I don't want to say concerning, but it's frustrating for sure. And I'm just going to assume he'll be out of it soon, which is another reason to, maybe be optimistic because like you said, once he's going, Yankee offense usually gets going, or at least it's enough for us to win. But yeah, when he's not, we're pretty much screwed, especially without having Stanton, which could be a factor too. I mean, don't have the exact numbers, but seems like he's kind of been struggling since Stanton went down. Now, I want to call out a tweet I saw, shout out to my boy Barry on Twitter. So he pointed out that about Judge's, remember that slump he had last year, like right before the All-Star break, where it looked like his like historic season was going to like fall off. So we all know how the season ended up finishing for him. But he had 1 month last year, an entire month from June 14th to July 15th, where he batted 183 with a 95 WRC plus. So he was below league average for a whole month last year. So for anybody who's thinking like, Judge is washed now and he's not the same player, no, like this makes sense. Judge has endured slumps like this before. It's unfortunately coming at a time though where we can't really afford that to be happening. So just got to hope he breaks out of it soon, which I'm 100% confident he will.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, it kind of just goes back to what we started talking about to start off the show, in terms of like the Yankees messed up in needing the offense to rely solely on Aaron Judge to replicate his 2022 season, because we mentioned coming into the year, it just wasn't realistic. And now that Aaron Judge isn't putting up historic numbers, you see like how the Yankees offense is kind of reflective of that. And I think it's kind of just unfair to him. And sure, bro, he just signed a massive deal. He's the captain. You expect him to kind of play better than this, especially early in the season. But you can't expect him to do what he did last year. I think we'll be lucky if he breaks 50 home runs this year. I mean, that's even like an insane number, to be honest with you. So I think, bro, the way I'm looking at it is, yes, Aaron Judge needs to step up, but I don't think the Yankees' offensive woes, like, I don't think the blame falls solely on him for
No,
not
of course
producing.
not.
You know what I mean?
I-
So I think as long as he steps up, though, I think that they'll be in a good spot, but they still need more.
Yeah, but I also want to say, I agree with you. I want to say, while yes, we knew regression was coming, he's not going to repeat the same season he had last year. I think in response to that, a lot of people might ask, okay, we don't need that, but we do still need an MVP caliber player, which right now he's not playing like. He simply isn't. And it's what, overspent of, I mean, shit, a week and a half now, maybe 2 weeks. But yeah, I mean, I think just it comes to a big head when the offense looks as bad as it is right now. I mean, you look at it last year when Judge was going through that slump, June to July, what was happening? The Yankees were on one of their best win streaks ever. They were looking like the greatest team of all time. So it kind of goes a little bit more under the radar. Right now, when you're struggling this bad, it's going to kind of come to the forefront, which it makes sense. It does. So I don't like, well, I'm, not worried about Judge at all. Like, the frustration amongst the fan base makes total sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. But yo, topic number 5, Dan, this is a little bit of a fun one. I saw you tweeted this out. I think it was a couple days ago. Joey Gallo, he's off to a pretty good start this season. I know he came back from injury. I'm pretty sure he's still hitting pretty well. He was hitting nice before the injury. In what world would it ever happen that the Yankees reunite with Joey Gallo? Because there is a fit. There's a fit, Dan. The Yankees could use a power hitting left-handed outfielder right now. What are the odds that it happens?
Less of a chance for something that I actually really hoped for a couple years ago. I wanted them to bring back Sonny Gray so bad. When he was a free agent, I was like, yo, bring him back. It was a Larry Rothschild problem, not a Sonny Gray problem. Bring him back. Gallo, no chance. Now, for those who don't know, the rumor is true. He is my cousin, not by blood, but we are technically related. I had to put that out there. Shout out to my cousin. He's doing great. He knows my last name. He knows my last name. Yes, he does. He knows my last name. I almost guarantee it. Okay. He knows the Rourkes. But yo, shout out to Gallo. 11 games this year, 1.1 OPS, has 5 homers already, has looked absolutely insane. No way the Yankees would ever bring him back. But I would, if you could teleport Gallo right now, like, I'm not making any deals for this, but say I could like snap my fingers and Joey Gallo is playing left field for the Yankees tomorrow, which actually works out conversation wise because we're going to see him tomorrow in Minnesota. I didn't even think about that. But
yeah, no, that isn't.
I could just put Gallo in the Yankees lineup on Monday against Minnesota, snap my fingers and do it 100%. But it's not like
I'd probably do it too. But I think, like, bro, hindsight's always 2020. Like we said, like, I don't think Gallo would be putting up those numbers if he was still a Yankee. It's kind of like, yo, if Aaron Hicks was off the team right now and he has a 950 OPS, we would be like, oh, I'm
Chapman too.
It's the same.
Like, you see how good Chapman's doing. It's like, yo, if you were here, some shit probably would. He'd have a 60 ERA and be throwing balls.
But yo, shout out to Joey Gallo though. Like, he's one of those guys. Like we said, like, whenever somebody struggles and leaves the Yankees, I'm happy to see them succeed as long as it's not against us.
No, we are legitimately happy for Joey Gallo. I mean, family relation aside, I'm just happy for the guy. But yo, did you like how this is how this conversation started? Like that tweet I posted, because I hit up in my friend's group chat. I was like, Yanks need a bat ASAP. And then what did I say?
Your French group chat?
Friends group chat.
Maybe I heard
doesn't really make sense either. A group chat with my friends. I said, I said Yankees need a bat ASAP. And then like 2 minutes later, I sent a text saying Joey Gallo is mashing this season. And then like I looked it back and I had to quickly reply, those texts are not related whatsoever. Because but hey, I think we did a good job on today's show, Pat. It's our first negative vibe episode, which I don't handle well. Like I think I'm a different person when I have to be negative. Like I literally have a different voice. I have a different like view on life.
I think you're okay.
You think I'm okay? I needed to hear that. I appreciate that. And you're wearing a nice pink hat, which makes you feel.
Thank you.
I remember one time I was sick. My aunt said to me, because I was wearing a nice big turquoise shirt, and I was like, she was like, "How you doing?" And I was like, "Not great. I'm sick." But she was like, "You can't be doing too bad if you're wearing turquoise." And that's how I feel about your hat, Pat. It's so bright. You can't, like, if you're in a bad mood and you put the hat on, you're just a fucking douchebag.
Okay, yeah. Colors can make you feel certain emotions. I actually,
you know what I'm saying? Like, dude, like I don't ever wear yellow, but if I'm like really feeling down in the dust, like say coming off a 3-game sweep or something on the wrong end of it, may have to put on a yellow shirt.
No, I think this episode would be different. It would be like a much worse vibe if I had a black hat on. I agree, 1000%.
It would feel like a funeral.
Yeah,
like my glove. $280, by the way.
Cool. Yeah, for you to never use it.
I'm trying to join an adult league. Yo, if anybody has an adult league,
we should join together, bro. That would be fun.
But that makes a joke of it. I'm trying to win a championship.
Why?
I'm not here for the camaraderie. I'm not here for
why is that a joke?
Play ball. I'm here to play ball with class,
Bro,
etiquette, and respect.
you think I can't?
No, you're a jackass. You don't respect the game. No, I'm kidding. I actually heard you were pretty good in high school.
Yeah, I
Didn't you-
was.
Didn't you like lead league in average or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, I won pitch of the year as a
Yeah,
junior on
you
JV.
played 5 years, bro. Yeah, we get
I
it.
was I was on that 5, but should we get out of here? Is that the show?
We probably should. Yeah, I think
All
they're
right,
tired of us.
Socials, where can they find you?
Twitter and TikTok at Unhinged Patrick, Instagram at True Hennessy. And how about you, Dan?
Dan on Rourke on Twitter, Dan on Rourke on Instagram. I almost forgot what the brand of this channel that I own is. Yankees Avenue on Instagram, Yankees Avenue on YouTube. Subscribe.
And TikTok, Yankees Avenue on TikTok. We're posting so many TikToks.
Which is like all Pat, by the way. Pat looking really good. And shout out to I don't know. Alana, I'm sorry. Pat's the one in communication with her. I'm not a douchebag. I'm sorry. Alana making dope ass TikTok. Guys, go follow us on there. Follow us everywhere. Damn it. See you guys next time.
Her body's gold like September. She burns through the night like an ember. And all those things we try forgetting, I remember. But we say we all fine, we all fine.